Okay, hello and welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at modeling the body of the acoustic phone speaker. So to start with, I'm going to define the shape of the body as seen from the front. So over here, this is my hierarchy. Remember, we created a component or separate component for the phone, a separate component for the tunnel, and now we're going to create a separate component for the body. So I go to the top here, right click, new component, there it is over here. Click once, it becomes blue, click again and I can modify the name. I'm going to call it body. In body, now I'm going to start sketching. So I'm going to create a new sketch, and the plane that I'm going to sketch on is the front of the body. Now the front of the body coincides, as I designed it, with the front of the tunnel part here. So I'm going to sketch that as the front of my body. Now I can draw on that plane. Okay, I want my body to be symmetrical. That's my choice. You may choose something different. So for it to be symmetrical on this sketch, I'm going to draw a center line. I'm going to get my line tool and I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing a construction line. That's selected. And I'm just going to mouse over and it snaps to the center axis and draw down to its vertical. And there it is. That's my center line that I'm going to be using for mirroring half, or the half that I'm drawing, so I'll have a complete sketch. Alright, so I'm going to remain with the line tool, but I'm going to turn off construction, and I'm just going to arbitrarily sketch basically. I'm going to, can you see that the cursor snaps to that center line that I drew? That's going to be the bottom of my speaker, of my body, sorry. Come out. I'm just going to come out about that far. Okay, accept that. And get an arc tool. I'm going to go the 3-point arc. Go from there to around about there. That's the second click, and my third click I quite like that. Great. Get my line tool. From there, I'm just going to go straight across to the center. Now it's not snapping to the center because my line only started down here. But what I can do, I can just mouse over the center here and pull it up, and it maintains that vertical movement. There we go. And that's the shape of the front of my body. I can play around with that as much as I want, but in this tutorial I'm not going to. And so that's half of it. Now I'm going to go sketch, mirror, and it asks me to select the objects. So I'm going to select that one, and that one, and that one. And now it asks me to select the mirror line. So I click select, and that, can we see that actually turning blue? Yeah, can you see it? Kind of turns blue. It's really hard to see, but it does. So I'm going to select that as my mirror line, and OK. So that is the shape of the front of my body. I'm going to stop my sketch. OK, now as we can see, that is on that plane. Now let's just turn around again and look at it from the front, and I think I made a mistake with the front of my tunnel. I don't like the shape or the size of that ellipse, so I want it to be a little bit narrower and a little bit wider. So I can go back and modify that. I'm going to go into tunnel, I'm going to go to my sketches, and so sketch 1 was the one that's turning black. Sketch 2 isn't on, so I'm just going to turn that on. And there it is. Now if I right click sketch 2, I can edit my sketch. There we go. So instead of 45 high, I'm going to make it 40. Sorry, what am I doing? Instead of 45 wide, I'm going to make it 55 wide. And instead of 20 high, I'm going to make it 15 high. That looks better to me. Stop my sketch. There we go. Now what I've done, I can actually, I think, move this line up. So I've finished in the tunnel. I'm going to go back to the body and go to my sketches and right click and edit that sketch. So this line, instead of being here, I'm going to drag it up. See, I can do that. I think that looks a bit better for me. I quite like that. Yep. And then I can stop the sketch. So that's all done now. I can close that. Right, I quite like that. So now I need to extrude this shape that I made to make it solid, and I want it to go about 6 mil, about 3 mil actually, behind the back of the tunnel. So I think it was, I can't remember exactly, I think it was 15 plus 9 plus 6, so it's about 30, plus 3 is 33. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to extrude that, and I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to type in minus 33. That looks so now we have a gonna be tails into that. I think pretty good. Yeah, for this tutorial I think that's going to be enough. Okay, now we want to use our phone and tunnel to subtract the material where they are. That's why we actually built them. So I'm still in body, that's still the active component. I'm going to modify, combine. Okay, it asked me to select the target body. The target body is the body that I'm going to be working on, which is what I've called the body. So I'm just going to select that. Now the tool bodies. The tool bodies are the bodies that are actually doing the cutting. So I'm going to select that one. And I also want to select the tunnel. Now I can actually select it like that. That would work. But I'll just show you that I can also go in here into tunnel. Under bodies, I can actually select the body from there as well. Now the operation has to be cut. We've got other operations that we can do, but for this particular modeling, we're going to be doing cut. And we want to make sure that we keep our tools, otherwise we lose the phone and the tunnel. And I always like to keep the tools, because you never know when you're going to need them. Alright, once we're happy with that, cut, keep tools, okay. And we can see that all that, the phone and the tunnel was cut away. We can also see that that little bit for the speaker was left there. Remember, that was an indentation in the phone. I don't actually want to have that there. So I want to actually move that back. I'm going to go and extrude and see if I can actually select that face. It's hard for me to select that face because the phone is there. So to make my life a little easier, this is the body. I'm going to right click on the component of the body, and I'm going to go isolate. Isolate turns all the other components off. I'll just click out. So all the other components I've turned off. They're still there, but they're just turned off. We can't see them or activate them. So now we're only working on the body. So now when I want to extrude that little face there, I can easily select it. And I can go this way or that way. I'm going to go that way at distance of -1, because that's, I just remember that's how thick it was. And the operation is cut. course, because we're removing material. Okay. Now that's done, I can go back to my body and unisolate. Now I've turned everything back on.